What's up everybody, it's Tommy Shane Smith here. Thanks for tuning in today. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna be heading out on another 2-month trip, living out of my backpack, so make sure to follow along to stay up to date with that. In my last video, you saw I got delayed overnight in Dallas. My flight was supposed to board at 10. At 9:30, my flight gets delayed. Found one hotel room. That incident inspired what today's video is about, which is a question a lot of people have, which is, what should I do when my flight gets delayed? But we're gonna get to that in just a minute, right after this life update. So, cue the montage. So I got these new sunglasses from zennyoptical.com, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of the blue. It's kind of hard to see. Like, they block the sun well enough, but the problem is that everything's really smurfy. So I'm gonna keep them for a little while, but I don't think I'm gonna use them. I think I'm gonna go back to my old ones. So people are always like, you should go get contacts, and that sounds like a good idea, but I'm just not good at sticking my finger in my eyeball. Plus, if you look, I have very narrow eyes and a big face. Narrow eyes and a big face. So the glasses kind of make me look like a normal person. There's nothing sexy about walking into a coffee shop from outside and taking off your prescription sunglasses and putting on a new pair of regular glasses. Like, nobody can make this look. So, life update, whatever, I'm leaving in 2 weeks now. So, just wrapping up a couple things here in Phoenix before I leave. I freelance, I do graphic design, I do marketing, I do brand development, all that stuff. Two of my biggest clients have big events that happen at the end of April. Well, that is all culminating over the next 2 weeks. So, good news, it's almost over and we can go out on the road again. Bad news, deadlines. I don't really have a ton of time to think about my trip. Probably gonna plan it all like 2 days before, because that's how I roll. Sometimes you gotta do boring things so that you can do fun things. Here's gonna be a time lapse of me working for the next hour or so. Everyone thinks I'm making foreign friends and eating weird food all the time, but this is a more accurate representation of my life. I just don't show it very often. But this is all I'm doing all week, so you're seeing it. When it comes to dealing with delays, the first step happens even before we book our flight, and that's to always expect a delay. It's not a matter of if you get delayed, but when. You can't control weather, you can't control mechanical issues. These things happen. So the key is that when we're booking our trip, we want to make sure that we allow ourselves some extra margin. See how I did that? We're adding margin while okay. The more important your trip is, the more margin you want to add. Leaving for the airport extra early, booking yourself a longer layover. If you're booking separate tickets, booking an extra long layover. If you've got an important family function, a business meeting, something like that, you want to give yourself as much time as you practically can, because stuff happens. The second thing you want to do, consider booking your trip with a credit card that offers trip delay protection. Chase Sapphire Preferred and Reserve, Citi Prestige and Premier, and other credit cards offer a trip delay protection benefit. If your trip gets delayed after a certain number of hours, they will reimburse you the costs of a hotel, food, taxis, Ubers. You can file a claim and get paid back for a lot of that kind of stuff. If you don't have a credit card that has a trip delay protection benefit, consider booking travel insurance. There's a lot of different types of travel insurance. Some of it's comprehensive, some of it's medical, some of it's just for a flight. You can use insuremytrip.com, which is kind of like a kayak for travel insurance. Just make sure that you read the terms because there are different types of plans with different coverages, and make sure that you read the reviews from people who have actually filed a claim, because 5-star service is great, but 5-star service from people who've never had to actually call and get their money doesn't matter. The next step is to figure out where the delay is coming from. It's important to know that in the case of a weather delay, the airline isn't on the hook to help you with food, accommodation, or anything like that. If it's a giant winter storm or a hurricane or something like that, an airline's probably going to issue a travel waiver a few days out, which will allow you to change your flight to a different day or time. If your plans are flexible, I would highly recommend doing that. If they're not, you can stay on your flights and see what happens. If you get delayed because of weather, trip delay protection or travel insurance is going to cover you in that instance. And a weather delay doesn't just mean weather where you're at, it means weather in the city you might be connecting to, it might be weather in your destination. If it's a mechanical delay, it's the airline's fault. The airline is responsible for accommodation, it's responsible for reasonable costs and to get you to your destination. Travel insurance and credit card trip delay protection would cover mechanical delays as well. Now, when our flight gets delayed, it's important that we look at our options. We want to take a look and see what flights are available. A great way to do that would be to pull up your airline's app, search for flights from the city you're in to the city you want to be. Take a look at those options and keep those in your back pocket for when you go talk to a gate agent or a phone agent to try to get rebooked. If you're trying to figure out what other options or cities you could connect in, a great way to do that, pull up the airport you're at's Wikipedia page and there's usually a list of destinations by airline. If you're at an airline's hub, the odds are that you have a lot of different options available. If you're not at an airline's hub, they might have a flight to a different hub that they can put you on later. If there's a lot of delays at once, you want to keep an eye on the lodging situation. If you don't, the hotels near the airport are going to run out of space and you might be stuck without a room for the night, especially later in the day. You're not the only one stranded, there's going to be a lot of other people stuck. When you get delayed, it's important that you take initiative. If you pull up the airline app, a lot of times it'll let you rebook for free right in the app, right then and there. You gotta remember, when a flight gets delayed, you're not the only one that's getting delayed. We wanna rebook our flight as soon as we can because the sooner we rebook our flight, the more space and more options there are available. You know when you go to the grocery store with somebody else and you stand in 2 different lines and see which one is going faster? We actually can do that ourselves when it comes to rebooking our flight. You should go to a customer service center or the gate agent and stand in line, but you should be ringing up the airline on the phone right then and there as well. And whichever one you get to talk to first, deal with them. Like I said, the longer you wait, the worse the options you have for rebooking and dealing with your stuff are. Another thing that most people don't realize, pro tip, Twitter. Who would have thought? If you need service, if you need something dealt with right then and right there, Twitter is one of the best ways to get stuff sorted out. Send a direct message or mention the airline in a tweet. Airlines' Twitter customer service reps are very quick and they're empowered to deal with your situation. They can rebook you, they can handle seat assignments, they can handle anything that a phone agent can usually handle, but they're gonna be quicker, and I find that they're actually quite a bit more competent. You might find that by reaching out to the airline on Twitter, you can have your whole situation sorted out quicker than the time you would be sitting on hold if you had called. So check out Twitter next time you've got a problem. When you get delayed, hold on to every receipt that you possibly can. But you want to hold on to those because you don't know what's going to happen at the end of your trip, but you might be able to get a refund from the airline for the trouble. Lastly, important to know about your compensation rights. On a domestic flight, if you get canceled, delayed, or whatever, there is nothing that legally requires an airline to compensate you anything at all. And for European flights, if you're flying to or from the European Union on an EU flagged carrier, or you're flying from the European Union on any carrier, if your flight gets delayed by more than 3 hours or canceled, not because of weather, but because of mechanical issues, airline-specific problems, you're entitled to as much as 600 euros, which today can actually be more than the ticket itself actually cost. If you're in a situation like that, make sure that you go to the airline's website. You can file a complaint, fill out a form, and then get a fat check from a carrier, which they're legally required to give you. I hope this video was helpful. Next time you're delayed, I hope that this video gives you 1 or 2 little things to keep in your back pocket, just to keep in mind for when that happens. And if that happens, leave me a comment on this video. I'd love to hear about it. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I'm heading out to Asia. I'm excited to take you along with me. If you're traveling internationally soon, make sure to check out my video about how you can save as much as 5% on all your international trips. Thanks for watching. Travel on.